So this, I think, is the healthiest colony that I have of all of my colonies right now. It's still too cold to do a full hive inspection, but from what I can see and what I've seen in this hive, the queen is laying well. The population was strong, very strong going into the winter, and strong coming out of the winter, and lots of honey. Never ran low on honey, and there were no major moisture issues inside the hive. In hives that I've had moisture issues, there's usually one side of the hive, there's like a lot of moisture buildup in the corner, in the bottom, or in the frames close to one edge, and the frames get wet and mold begins to grow, and the bees just completely avoid it. And you can see that they're avoiding the moisture inside the hive by how they exit and enter the hive from the bottom entrance. They'll either favor one side or the other, and the side that they favor is the side that's just further away from the wet frames. That isn't happening in this hive. It's happened in a couple of other hives, though, that have had moisture issues. This hive is just 3 medium boxes going into winter. They had lots of honey up top, pretty good honey in the middle box, and even a little bit of honey in the bottom box, and they had a few frames of pollen, or bee bread that some people call it. I gave them some pollen, fake pollen, and some sugar just to keep them going, but I don't think they even needed it. They never did run out of honey or pollen or anything. The only thing that I did do, I don't think it makes any difference, is I actually took caulking and I sealed in some of the cracks between the supers later in the early spring, like a couple months ago, because I felt that there was a possible moisture issue. There was possible moisture seeping into the hive through the cracks, so I just sealed it up. It never had a top entrance. It only had a bottom entrance and a solid bottom board going into the winter, and the hive is tilted forward, and it has a super thick piece of insulation over the wooden inner cover, and that's all it had for insulation or wrap. And it is in flat rock, where it's still cold and freezing and foggy, where it's still so cold that I haven't been able to do any kind of full hive inspections, except on one hive where I had to take it apart because of a possible rodent issue, but I normally wouldn't have because it was so cold. So here we go. It's 3 mediums, big cluster going into the winter, lots of honey, hard insulation up top, no top ventilation, just the bottom entrance with a mouse guard wide open. And I really do think this colony is, so far, is just booming. It's, especially in this really cold climate and damp next to the ocean here, it's just an impressive situation. It's really great. I'm really impressed with these bees. It's not a new queen. I think she's at least 2 years old, maybe 3. I'd have to check my records. I don't really know. I don't take good records. So whatever is happening with these bees, whatever I've done, and I haven't done much other than make sure that the cluster is big and they have tons of honey going into winter. Whatever is going on here, I would like to replicate that with all my colonies, because overwintering is such a pain. That's where everything goes wrong. And that is the majority of beekeeping in Newfoundland too, because these bees have been stuck in this hive since October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So it's 8 months. So, and they're only starting to just forage a little bit right now. Just a little bit. And you can see they are bringing in some natural pollen. So that looks good. Whatever's happening here, whatever I've done here, I just want to keep it going, because there's so many other things in beekeeping, especially in cold climates. Not places like in, Corner Brook and Grand Falls, Windsor, and Newfoundland, where it's much warmer, where the spring comes much sooner, and the spring is actually a spring instead of winter. Because we've had temperatures here that are colder for most of May that have been. We've had warmer weather in December. So Yeah, whatever is happening here, this is probably as good as it gets for the kind of colonies that I have, at least here in Flat Rock next to the ocean. I just wanted to say, hooray! Good for me, because this is probably my strongest colony, and possibly the strongest colony I've ever had in this particular location and this particular climate. I don't think the black paint I don't think it makes a big difference. I've tried it out, but I'm not sure it's not really done anything. The main thing is that the sun hits this hive and it warms it up and gets them going, and off they go. It's also in a fairly sheltered area, so I don't need to wrap them as a windbreak. But they don't get full sun all day long, especially in the winter. I hope it continues to flourish into the summer. We'll see what happens, but I just want to say, hooray for me, I'm very impressed.